So, good morning, everybody. I'm a little late. I apologize. I was going to make a video last night. I got a little tired on that Microsoft Excel as requested, but I decided I'll do it now. It's 5:30 in the morning, and I'm having my coffee. So, I'm up and I'm ready to roll here, and we'll do it now. Okay, so someone asked, and they're a great student for asking, about the built-in financial functions in Microsoft Excel. So, let me go over them a little bit here. And the first thing I want to show you, and here's how you get started. Everyone should see there's a little f of x right here. If you haven't ever dealt with built-in financial Excel functions in general, f of x tells you in here there's a cavalcade of equations. So I'm going to click on that. And you see it says insert function. A box comes up. Now, you see I already have financial selected, but if you click down here, there's tons of categories. And let me just say this, you can buy more. You know, Excel has plugins you can buy probably for like $30 or something, where they add to all these functions. But you can clearly see the categories here: financial, date and time, math, trigonometry, statistics, lookup and references, database, text, logical, information, engineering. So they have all these, and I think there's maybe more down here. Let's see, cube, whatever that, cube, compatibility, and web. All right, maybe that's to do HTML pages. I don't know. All right, so, but financial is the one I use a lot. All right, you see it right there, right? Okay, so here's the list of financial equations. Select the function, and you can see them all. Look, I'll scroll them. And I can't go over every one of them because there's so many different ones. But when you click on one and try to use it, there's an information page, you know, a help page that'll guide you through each one. And here's, if you're familiar with net present value, right? Here's a net present value. And here's duration, which we'll go over. Here's nominal interest rate. You've probably seen internal rate of return, right? You've probably seen that. Here's future value. Right, effective interest rate, and if I scroll down, you'll see present value. Right there, we already saw. So here's payment to calculate the payment, and here's present value. So right there, and here's how you get the rate. If you know everything else, but you don't know the rate, but you do know the present value and the future value. Now, if you're hunting for one and you don't remember the name, you can go up here and just type the name. So if I was hunting for, like, let's say I was hunting for present value. I didn't know how they had it spelled out. I would just like type PV or something like that, right? And I say go. And you see it picked it right away, right? And it picks the ones that are next to it. And it tells you what it goes in each thing here. Rate, net period. Now when I click on it, and now when I say okay, it'll bring up little boxes to put information in. So I clicked on it, right? Okay. So here's present value. So you pop the rate in, you pop it in as a decimal, okay? Like for 5%, it would be 0.05. And the number of years, or if you're doing compound, it would be number of periods, right? But most people do years. The payment you're going to make, right? And if there is a payment, right? If it's an annuity, remember annuities? And here, if you had that, and here's the future value you pop in. So this is kind of like when you win lotto, right? Instead of taking payments, you take a present value lump sum. Okay, so you know this is like lotto. And then you just say okay. You pop them in, say okay, and it'll put the answer right in Excel. See, I didn't have any numbers in there, so it complained. All right, but you can see, so it would want to put it right there with an answer. So actually, so let's see. Let me see if I can bring it back up here. All right, so if I put like 6% for 3 years, and let's say it's not an annuity, and I don't put any payments in, I want to know I want to have $1,000 in 3 years at 6%. And this is what I want to have, right? And the type is, if you I don't know if you've had it, but if you put the money in at the end of the period, which is an annuity ordinary annuity, versus if you put the money in at the beginning of the period, that's an annuity due. You put a 0 or a 1 there, but that's for an annuity. If I had a payment, and then I just type OK, and you see it's telling me that if I put 800, and you notice it's red because it's negative, it's coming out of your pocket. What that basically means is if I'm putting $839.62 in the bank today at 6%, in 3 years I'll have $1,000. So that's the present value function. And again, there's you could put payments here, and whether or not you're putting the money in at the beginning or the end of the period. So, all right. So you see. So I said it. Okay. So that's it. So that's the typical present value one. But bear in mind, you should go in here and fool around with these things, and if you want to bring them, you got to go to a blank cell to bring up the whole thing again. So you see, you can take the sum, you can add numbers, and there's a lot of math functions, and most recently used means the ones you've been using lately, but here they all are. So it's that simple, and of course, you can write your own function. If you go up here, and if you start the line off with like an equal, then you can write an equation, and then it'll, you could do cell-based equations, right? You can do like A1 plus B1, or A1 divided by D1 or C1, and it'll take the numbers out of those cells, and it'll do the math accordingly. So so there's two ways. You can either do this or you can do your own, and a lot of people like trying to do their own. You just got to be careful with all the parentheses, if you know what I mean. Alrighty. So if there's anything else you want me to show you, feel free to ask. And thank you to that person who asked me. It was definitely a smart thing to have done.